Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So as you guys know, on the channel, I keep things objective all the time, and it means that we look at lots of different requests. And this is just one of those, another request. It's to take a look at the movie release of Wicked, and this was, at least I think, a West End show. I know it was here in the UK. I don't know if it was on Broadway as well, but I assume that it was. But it's something that is known for being on the stage, and they've now made a movie out of it, and people have asked me to take a look at it to see if there's any pitch correction involved with it. I think a huge part of this request is to do with the fact that the director or producer, somebody in this trailer, is saying that they are singing it live, and they make a huge point of that in this trailer, saying that on set they were singing it live, like you would do, you know, in a West End show or on Broadway. And I think the request has come through to ask me whether we are hearing their voices live or not, whether they are unedited, because that is certainly the impression that is given with this trailer. That and they do say the reason that it is so unique is because you are hearing the performances as they were doing them while they were filming. But we're going to have a look and see if their voices are indeed unedited or whether they are not what was actually produced when they were filming it. So links to the original videos in the description below as always, and I have isolated the vocal, so we'll just listen to that with this trailer. And I think this is going to be Ariana Grande just warming up her voice. Let's just have a listen. Yes, so that was a natural vocal, but I think this is just her walking to the set. But you can see that it's a natural vocal, and that she has amazing pitch accuracy, because, you know, here, you know, she's directly over this B4, but it is a natural voice. So it means that she is sharp here, sharp, 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 over the B4 here, and it's just, you know, doing a vocal warm-up. But it still gives you an idea of where her voice just naturally sits when she's just singing through exercises.
You know, when we came into this movie, we weren't sure how much we were going to do live or not. Suddenly. But they are the best singers in the world, and so every scene they have been singing live. 3, 2, 1, action.
Popular. We chose to sing live because it meant that we would be further connected to the words we were saying and to each other.
So, I mean, everything we're hearing in the background here sounds quite natural, and it's dry. So they're not taking it from the movie, they're taking it from when they were actually filming the scene. So let's listen up.
It was an immediate no-brainer for Cynthia and I. We both were like, well...
And you can see, you know, this actually might be Ariana talking, so we're not actually getting to see where her voice lands, but it sounds like it's natural in the background.
Of course, we're singing live.
There's something special about what happens when music is live in a room.
Yeah, absolutely live here. Take a look at the pitch. You know, just a natural voice, not calibrated to A440 standard pitch equal temperament.
You're perfect.
You're perfect. So we're perfect together.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounded a bit weird. When the male voice came in, we have this...
Together.
Yeah, a bit of a calibration going on. You can see it at the bottom there, and actually picked it up an octave higher, the D4, and bang over that A3. So that's the first bit that sounds a little bit dodgy. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So A3 absolutely stuck on A440.
Forever.
Oh, and down here you can see that A2 is directly over the line as well. So that's a dry version of a pitch corrected vocal. So they wouldn't have sounded like that live.
So what we've managed to do is immerse the audience, because effectively our movie set is also a recording studio. So that raw and real emotion that we are recording on set right now will be what you hear and experience in the theater.
that is a false statement. So he's saying that what they're hearing when they're recording it, you will hear that when you watch the movie. And I mean, the reason that I can say that that's a false statement, because I've already done the analysis, and I know what they've done. So let's just jump into one of the songs from the movie called What Is This Feeling?
What is this feeling so sudden and new?
I mean, straight off the bat, this sounded like it's been stuck to that C4.
I felt the moment I laid eyes on you.
Oh, and actually, yeah, so we have the natural voice at the end, but you can see how the C4 we're calibrated to there 3 times in a row. So even on this very beginning of the song, it wouldn't have sounded like this. And actually, look at this. We go up and just touch that E4 perfectly. It wouldn't have sounded like this on set because this has been moved to this position, which makes me think, do the directors and producers know that this is happening? Maybe they don't. They think that what they heard in that studio when they were filming it, they might think that that is what is going to be represented on the big screen, but it actually isn't. And nobody's told them that whatever you heard on set, in the studio, we're changing that. All of the notes that you're hearing that had the expression and might have made you emotional on set, that's something that happens in the trailer. There's somebody who's close to tears because of the performance they've just watched. And that's because they're listening to natural voices and great voices live. And you can't beat that for connection and emotion and expression. But when it then gets pitch corrected, you lose all of that. So I think maybe the directors don't know that they've changed the notes and replaced what they did live with a new audio file, because that's what happens, and then release that as the audio for the movie. Let's just listen on to this.
My pulse is rushing.
My head is reeling.
Yeah, well, my face is flushing.
What is this feeling? Fervent as a flame.
Wow, yeah, here we've got a lot of calibration going on.
Does it have a name?
And we did actually get a little bit of the natural voice here, thankfully. Otherwise it would sound really weird. Look at this, even though that would be the C3, that should be the C4. Maybe it's just taking over from there, the lower octave. Sometimes it plots it that way.
Loathing, unadulterated loathing
For your face.
your voice.
I mean, they have left in these little bits that are more like talking, so at least it doesn't sound weird in those parts.
Loathing, let's just say I love it all.
And that sounded weird up at the F4. That almost sounded like this is showing my age, but the Chipmunks. There's a show called The Chipmunks, and it went something like Alvin, Simon, Theodore, like that. And it's the thing is that the Chipmunks' voices were edited with pitch in order to make them sound a lot higher than they were back in the day. They used to speed up the tape, but then I think for the more recent release, which I didn't watch because I'm too old for that, but they would have digitally manipulated the voices to obviously pitch correct them or auto-tune them to make them sound mechanical, or just to give it that cartoon sound. But we got that kind of sound here. Anyway, let's move on from the Chipmunks.
Every little trait, however small, makes my very flesh begin to crawl.
Yeah, so here, I mean, you can actually hear the bits of processing going on with the G4 and the D sharp 4 here.
With simple utter loathing, there's a strange exhilaration in such total detestation.
Yeah, so again, these wouldn't be here actually on set when they were singing this live.
It's so pure, so strong, though I do admit it came on fast. Still I do believe that it can last.
I mean, it hasn't been really heavily pitch corrected, but it's been pitch corrected enough I mean, you can see here, line, 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 just touching the line here and the line down here. So it's still a little bit over the top because we've got a lot of corrections going on. And again, this wouldn't be how it sounded on set. I do want to get back to the trailer because I want to see what else they say about the live vocals, but we'll just listen to this a little bit more.
And I will be loading you my whole life long.
Yeah, so I think the main problem is because when you are calibrating things to A440 standard pitch equal temperament, it is so the value is so finite that the note has to be there to 0 cents. It has, well, obviously it doesn't have to be there, but that's the way that they're applying it, and it has to be there to 0 cents. And then it comes up here and it has to hit that line exactly on, and here it has to hit that line exactly on. So it means that the end point of a slide vocally is going to the same place to 0 cents, and that's why it's always going to sound weird, because voices don't do that. Vocal cords are not tuned. So we're now back to the trailer and we'll pick it up from where we left off.
He could be that boy.
Hey, here we go. So this is another pitch corrected vocal that's dry, which means it doesn't have any effect on it. So as we go back, let's just get to where we were here. The G sharp 4, yeah, it's stuck on the line, and it just sounds weird because it's that processed sound of being stuck to the lines, and here, you know, stuck to the line. And as we kind of move it forwards, yeah, we have got vibrato in there, so it means that we get a little bit of the expression of the original singer, but I'll let it play on.
That girl.
There we go. I mean, that was ever so slightly flat, but it started off, you can see up here, bang over the line. And I mean, that is this section, it's just plotted it an octave above. But we then did have a little bit of variation here, going a little bit flat. But again, there'd be way more variation in this in a natural voice.
It feels really powerful to be able to use singing in that way.
You feel it, the effects that they both have on the set.
It's gonna cry. It's so beautiful. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
So that's what I was referring to earlier, that somebody there is getting emotional about what they are seeing and what they are hearing because they're getting to enjoy that performance. And this is why people go to the theatre, go to the West End and Broadway, is to hear great singers' voices and to hear them just give you the emotion within a performance, within a story. Because you can't beat it. You can't beat a great singer live. But we're not hearing what they actually produce. So where that particular crew member's getting emotional, unfortunately, we're hearing an edited audio version, an edited audio file version of what was produced, but then that's, you know, it's been calibrated to these lines, A440. And it is a shame because you lose so much of it. It makes the performances stale. You know, I've mentioned that in loads of videos, that the emotion in voices now is just not there anymore because everyone has the same degree of pitch accuracy. And when you start applying every voice to these lines, you're not going to hear unique expression. You're not going to, obviously, you're not going to hear the increments of expression that are inherent in every great vocalist's voice. Take a look at this. You can see, and you might not be able to see in the background, it's too dark, but they are just standing there singing together and it's totally unedited. And look at the lines. Look at how we're not over the line here. And this little rundown that they do together, flat, flat, and then they hold the note with vibrato. And it looks like, yeah, pretty much over that F sharp 4, but that is a live vocal. And the thing is, with great singers, even though, yeah, and this is why it's so stupid. This is why it is so stupid. Because great singers like this can hit notes this accurately, ever so slightly sharp, ever so slightly flat. They're hitting the best frequency and they're just nailing it together. pitch wise here, just flat of the B4, but absolutely sounding pitch perfect. And when you've got great singers like this, why are we moving these over the lines? So this is what they would have heard at the studio. We don't hear this in the final performance because it will be moved over the top of the lines. So let me just move it forward a little bit. And this is now from the movie. Look at where we are over the line when they hold this note. And we just saw them hold the note not over the line. And I mean, even there before that talking came in. Oh, I don't know whether I can see it. Let's have a look. There we go. Look how we're perfectly over that F4. So, I mean, it's amazing because you can see instantly where the pitch corrected versions are, because they'll be stuck over these lines. And it hasn't been really heavily applied, but it's just night and day when you're listening to natural vocals.
Whenever we would get to the end of an incredibly emotional day, Cynthia and I would refer to ourselves as husks, having given everything we've got. So if you
I think audience are going to be very surprised about the experience they're going to get here. No one has ever seen this powerhouse like this before.
And yeah, just the way that they're talking about this, it makes me think that they're totally unaware of what happens with the sound and the way that the voices are pitched and changed, because I'm sure that if they had kept the voices as they were, we would literally be back to the original release of, you know, The Wizard of Oz, and the vocals back then were absolutely live, unedited. Obviously, you know, they couldn't be digitally corrected, you know, back in what, the 1930s was that? Anyway, it would have been amazing. Imagine if they had released the songs as they were when they were recorded on set, and as they were recorded, you know, for the original Wizard of Oz in the studio without corrected vocals. That would have been amazing in the present day to hear that. But when this person says, let me just listen again.
You're going to be very surprised about the experience you're going to get here. No one has ever seen this powerhouse like this before.
So, sadly, again, what this person is saying, with people, you know, potentially being surprised about what they hear when the movie's released, nobody's going to be surprised because it's going through an industry standard process, which has happened on loads of musicals, and musicals that we've even looked at on the channel, where they've pitch corrected either the actors' voices or the voice of whoever's singing in place of the actor. So they are going to have heard this before, sadly. What they wouldn't be ready for are fully natural voices and natural vocals. That is something that when you hear it, you think, whoa, what is this? This sounds different to every other mainstream release in the last 20 years because something's different. And they would have got a lot more of an emotional reaction to it because of that, hearing natural voices. I think the people filming this on set who aren't music savvy and don't know what happens to vocals nowadays, that they are all calibrated to A440 standard pitch equal temperament, they have obviously watched this while they're filming it and they've thought, wow, we are capturing something amazing here. And then maybe when it's released on screen, they might think, oh, hang on, why doesn't it sound like it did when we were on the set? Why are we not having that same reaction to it? And it's because it's just been, unfortunately, put through the same digital processing as every other voice that you've heard in every musical recently, which is a massive shame. And I don't think that the people making this movie understand. They can't understand to be making statements like this.
It was like the best concert you could have ever attended at the best seats in the house. Let's go!
And I mean, when he says that, it's like the best concert, you know, you've ever attended and having the best seats in the house. Absolutely. This will be like one of the best Broadway shows you've ever seen, and you're there, actually right in front of the performers who have great voices. So I'm sure that on set, this must have been amazing. I'm just going to let this play through to see if they say anything at the end.
Rated PG.
Oh, it's just the end of the trailer. So I know why this was requested to take a look at, because obviously some people who can hear equal temperament and pitch correction are listening to the songs and thinking, this just sounds the same as everything else that's released nowadays. And that's sadly because it is. And if they really wanted to be different, they should have done the opposite and just allow the great singers' voices to be heard and unedited. Because trust me, they wouldn't have needed any editing. That's why people were getting emotional on set, because the performances are already there. You don't have to now make a performance out of the performance by dragging it over these lines. So yeah, sadly, what we're hearing really is the performance of a producer and not the performance of the singers at that particular time. So it's a huge shame, but that's just the industry at the moment, unfortunately. Anyway, thank you guys for requesting this particular video and topic to discuss with the recent release of this movie. And keep the suggestions for future analysis videos coming in the comment section below. As always, let me know what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!